Have you ever heard of spirits that roam the earth, blending in as humans? In Yoruba land, it is said that not every face you see is mortal. Some are here to teach a lesson, others to fulfill vengeance. Be careful who you let into your life. They may not be who they seem. First of all, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do hit that subscribe button, like, share and also leave a comment. Thank you. It was a calm morning in a small Yoruba village. The rooster had just crowed and life was starting to spring. Women fetched water from the stream, children ran around playing, and men prepared for the day's labor. Amongst the young maidens of the village was Ronke, a beautiful girl with a kind of confidence that came from years of admiration. Ronke's father, Baba Ronke, was a skilled hunter. He brought back the finest games from the forest, earning respect among the villagers. Her mother, Mama Ronke, was the best hair plaiter in the community. Because of her mother's skills, Ronke's hair was always the most admired, styled into intricate patterns that other girls could only envy. Whenever Ronke walked through the village, heads turned, men brought gifts, whispered sweet words, and some even serenaded her under the moonlight. But Ronke was selective. She basked in their attention but gave her heart to no one. The annual dance competition was around the corner, a much anticipated event where young maidens displayed their dancing skills before the entire village. The winner would earn the title of the pride of the village and often catch the eyes of wealthy suitors. Preparations for the competition filled the air with excitement. Ronke practiced her steps tirelessly, determined to win. "This year, I must be crowned," she told Mama Ronke, who nodded in encouragement. But the buzz around the village took a turn when a stranger arrived. Her name was Folake, and her beauty was nothing short of mesmerizing. Her skin glowed like the morning sun, her eyes sparkled like precious gems, and her hair was styled in ways the villagers had never seen before. Folake had barely unpacked before whispers spread. The men were awestruck, and even the women couldn't help but admire her beauty. When asked where she was from, she mentioned a faraway village claimed to be the daughter of a woman who once lived in the area. "I heard her mother was a great beauty too," one elder said. But Folake's sudden popularity unsettled Ronke. She noticed how Kunle, the most handsome but arrogant young man in the village, couldn't take his eyes off Folake. Kunle was a known charmer, and while Folake liked the attention he gave her, she had no plans of giving in to him. Yet, seeing him so smitten by Folake prickled her pride. As the days went by, Folake's peculiar habits became a topic of gossip. She always seemed to have a new hairstyle, yet no one ever saw her visiting any hair plaiter. "Where does she get her hair done?" Ronke asked her mother one evening. Mama Ronke chuckled. "Leave her alone, Ronke. What's yours will always find you. Focus on the competition." But Ronke couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Folake was not only stealing the attention of the men, but also overshadowing her in ways she couldn't understand. While Ronke practiced her dance steps under the mango tree with the other girls, Folake arrived at the square. Her entrance as dramatic as always. She wore a wrapper of deep blue and gold, and her hair was styled in an intricate braid that smeared in the sunlight. The young men, even those who had previously pledged their admiration for Ronke, couldn't help but gather around Folake. She didn't seem to notice or care about their attention. Instead, she walked straight to the village elder, coordinating the competition. "I would like to join the dance," she announced, her voice smooth like palm oil. The elder hesitated. "You are new to Ilado. Are you sure?" Folake smiled. "Dancing is universal. Dancing is universal, Baba. Allow me to show the village what I can do." Her confidence silenced any objections. Back at home, Ronke stormed into their compound, her face flushed with anger. "Mama, did you see her today? Folake has joined the competition." Mama Ronke, who was grinding peppers on the stone, barely looked up. And so, what is meant for you cannot be taken by anyone. But Mama, you don't understand. Everyone's talking about her, her hair, her clothes, even her walk. She's taking everything from me. Mama Ronke sighed, wiping her hands on her wrapper. My child, listen to me. Beauty is like the morning sun. It doesn't last forever. Focus on what makes you unique, not on competing with others. Ronke ground in frustration. Mama, you don't understand. This is not just about the competition. There's something about her, something that doesn't feel right. Mama Ronke paused, her expression thoughtful. What do you mean? I don't know, Ronke admitted, her voice dropping. It's just a feeling like she doesn't belong here. The day of the dancing competition arrived with fanfare. The village square was buzzing with activity. Children chased each other around, women set up food stalls, and the young men gathered in clusters, already debating which maiden would win. Ronke stood in her family compound, watching as her mother adorned her hair with fresh beads. The elaborate style Mama Ronke had crafted was her most intricate, yet a crown of interwoven braids that sparkled with cowries. You look like a queen, my daughter, Mama Ronke said with pride, stepping back to admire her work. Ronke managed a small smile. Thank you, Mama. I just hope the villagers think the same. Mama Ronke touched her shoulders. Remember, it is not just about beauty. Dance with your heart and the people will see your spirit. As Ronke walked to the square, she noticed Folake standing near the elder's hut. Her hair, once again, was a masterpiece, flowing like river waves, glinting under the morning sun. It looked otherworldly. Folake turned and caught Ronke's eyes. She smiled warmly, but to Ronke, the smile felt cold, almost mocking. The elder blew the ceremonial horn, signaling the start of the competition. One by one, the maidens stepped forward to dance. Each girl brought their own flair, and the crowd cheered wildly. When it was Ronke's turn, she stepped into the circle with confidence. The drums began and her feet moved to the rhythm with precision and grace. She twirled, her beads clinking, her wrapper flowing like the wind. The crowd erupted in cheers and Ronke's heart swelled with pride. Ronke, 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 the villagers chanted. As she finished her performance, she glanced towards Kunle, hoping for a sign of approval. But Kunle wasn't watching her. His eyes were fixed on Folake. Then it was Folake's turn. She stepped into the circle, her movement slow and deliberate at first. The drums quickened and Folake began to move. Her dance was unlike anything the villagers have ever seen. Her steps were fluid, her body blending in ways that seemed impossible. It was as if the earth itself responded to her movements. The crowd roared, their cheers drawing out the sound of the drum. Even the elder stood up, his face a mist of awe and confusion. Ronke watched in disbelief as Folake's dance ended in a spin so fast it seemed she would vanish into the air. The crowd surged towards her, chanting her name. That evening, the family sat in silence. Mama Ronke was consoling Ronke, who couldn't stop crying. They didn't even cheer for me like that, Ronke sobbed. You did your best, my child, Mama Ronke said softly. But Papa, Ronke sat apart, staring into the distance. Baba, are you not going to say anything? Mama Ronke said. He took a deep breath. The steps Folake danced today, they were not human. Ronke and Mama Ronke turned to him confused. What are you saying, Baba? Ronke asked. When I was a young hunter, he began, I stumbled upon a clearing in the forest one night. I saw women dancing there. Their movements were unlike anything I had ever seen. At first, I thought they were villagers, but then I realized they were not human. They were spirits. Mama Ronke chuckled nervously. You've been drinking too much palm wine, old man. But Ronke's heart raced. You mean Folake is one of them? I I don't know, Papa Ronke admitted, but those steps she danced today were the same as the ones I saw that night. And her hair, Mama Ronke, have you ever seen anyone with hairs like that? Mama Ronke hesitated. No, I haven't. It's unusual. Papa Ronke stood up suddenly. I need to find out who she really is. That same night, Kunle couldn't contain his excitement. He had convinced Folake to meet him at her hut. As he approached, the moonlight illuminated the small thatched building. He knocked on the door and Folake opened it, smiling warmly. "You came," she said softly, stepping aside to let him in. Kunle grinned. "How could I resist? You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen." Folake tilted her head, her eyes glittering strangely in the dim light. "You say that to all the guests, don't you?" Kunle laughed nervously. "But I mean it with you." Folake gestured for him to sit, and he did. She moved gracefully, pouring him a calabash of palm wine. "To us," Kunle said, raising a calabash. Folake smiled, but he didn't reach her eyes. "To us." The next morning, the village woke to shocking news. Kunle was missing. His friends searched everywhere, but there was no trace of him. Some villagers speculated he had run off to avoid responsibility for his many escapades, but others whispered of darker possibilities. Ronke overheard the whispers as he fetched water from the stream. "They say he was last seen going towards Folake's hut," one woman murmured. Ronke froze. "Maybe he's just hiding," another replied. "You know how Kunle is." Ronke couldn't shake the eerie feeling that her father's words. Days later, the village buzzed with the news that the crown prince was searching for a bride. Every maiden saw this as an opportunity, dressing their best to catch his attention. When the prince arrived at the market, his eyes scanned the crowd and landed on Folake. He announced on the spot that she would be his bride. Folake accepted with a radiant smile. The village was still buzzing about Kunle's sudden disappearance when Papa Ronke decided it was time to act. He had been quiet since the festival, but now his resolve was firm. That morning, he called Mama Ronke and Ronke into the hut. "This matter with Folake," he began, his voice low but firm, "is not sitting well with me. There is something wrong. I need to find out what it is." Mama Ronke frowned. "What are you saying, Baba? You want to investigate a young girl who has done nothing but live her life?" "Live her life?" Papa Ronke snapped. "Do you think it is normal for a maiden to disappear into a village and suddenly captivate everyone? Her beauty, her dance, even her hair, nothing about her is natural." Ronke, still shaken by her father's earlier story, whispered, "Do you think she's one of those spirits you saw in the forest?" Papa Ronke nodded gravely. "I don't know yet, but I intend to find out." Papa Ronke decided to travel to the village Folake claimed she was from. He hoped to uncover the truth. The journey was long and treacherous, taking him through dense forest and rocky paths. On the third day, he arrived at Folake's supposed hometown. It was a quiet place surrounded by farmlands and thick forests. Papa Ronke went straight to the village square and began asking questions. "Does anyone here know of a maiden named Folake? She claimed to be the daughter of a late hunter who once lived here." The villagers exchanged puzzled looks. Finally, an elderly woman stepped forward. "Folake," she said, squinting at Papa Ronke. "Yes, we know of a girl by that name, but she's been gone for a long time." "Gone where?" Papa Ronke asked urgently. The woman's face darkened. She was a beauty, that one, but her story is a sad one. Folake was violated by some men in this village many years ago. They took her life after their wickedness. Her family left soon after. However, her father stayed back. Papa Ronke felt a chill run down his spine. "You mean Folake is dead?" The woman nodded solemnly. "She was buried right here in the village." Papa Ronke staggered back, his mind racing. If Folake had died, who or what was living in his village now? Desperate for answers, Papa Ronke sought out the village priestess, who was said to have knowledge of both the living and the dead. The priestess lived in a hut at the edge of the village, surrounded by tall trees and the sound of birds. She was an old woman with piercing eyes that seemed to see into one's soul. When Papa Ronke explained everything, the priestess listened quietly. Then she spoke. "The one you called Folake is not of this world," she said. "Her spirit has returned, but it is not for peace. She is on a mission of vengeance." "Vengeance?" Papa Ronke asked, horrified. "Yes," the priestess replied. "She seeks to punish men who cannot control their lusts. The missing man you spoke of, Kunle, has already met his fate." Papa Ronke's heart sank. "Is there a way to stop her?" "Yes, there is a way," the priestess said. "However, you need to also know something about her. You might be wondering how she gets her new hairstyles every day." "Yes, that has been bothering me," Papa Ronke questioned. "How does she get these hairstyles every day?" The priestess then answered, "Every night, Folake removes her own head and places it on her own lap and begins to plait. Before she died, she was a skilled hair plaiter, so it is no surprise that she could come up with such beautiful, intricate patterns." The priestess then continued, "But it will not be easy to stop her. You must bring someone from this village who knew her in her life when she was alive. When the living and the dead meet face to face, her spirit will be forced to reveal its true form. Only then can she be stopped." Papa Ronke went back to the village and convinced Folake's father, who was still alive and living in the village, to return with him. The man was skeptical at first, but when Papa Ronke described the events in his village, he reluctantly agreed. The journey back was slow and Papa Ronke grew increasingly anxious. The wedding was only a day away. The village was alive with excitement. Drummers beat their talking drum and dancers filled the palace courtyard. The crowned prince, dressed in regal attire, looked radiant as he waited his bride. Folake, adorned in the most beautiful wedding attire, radiated an unhealthy glow. Her hair was braided into an elaborate style that left the crowd in awe. Ronke stood among the villagers, her heart heavy with dread. She glanced around, hoping to see her father. He had been gone for days and she feared he wouldn't make it in time. As the wedding officiants prepared to join the prince and Folake, a loud cry broke through the celebration. "Stop this wedding! Stop this wedding!" Heads turned as Papa Ronke burst into the courtyard, sweat pouring down his face. Behind him was an elderly man with a grave expression, who was Folake's father. The crowd murmured in confusion. Even the prince frowned. "What is the meaning of this interruption?" he demanded. Papa Ronke stepped forward, pointing at Folake. "She is not who she claims to be. This maiden, she is not human." The crowd gasped. Folake's calm demeanor flattered, but she quickly regained her composure. "What nonsense is this, Papa Ronke?" she asked, her voice steady. "Are you accusing me of being a spirit?" "Yes," Papa Ronke shouted. He turned to the elderly man. "This is her father. Let him speak." The old man stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Folake. "If you are truly my daughter, let me see you up close." As their eyes met, Folake let out a piercing scream and vanished into thin air. The crowd was thrown into chaos, with the villagers running in different directions. Later, when everyone had gathered, Baba Ronke explained everything, leaving the villagers horrified. Not everything that glitters is good. Beauty can be a mask that hides intention. There will be an interesting part 2 to this story of what happened to Folake afterwards. So if you've not subscribed to this channel now, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we release the part 2. Thanks for watching.